it's even worse because this is probably the worst guy they probably picked, although the Wall Street Journal could have clandestinely been doing a hit piece on this guy. He makes $250,000 a year.
Okay.
And he is his personal fiscal finance. And then he says that he can't afford the $1,500 a month payment just to be current on interest. It's like, how do you make $250,000 a year and you can't even make the $1,500 a month interest payment? Well, then you read through and there's hints dropped within the article that this is this party boy now who's the chickens have come home to roost in the form of debt. And he just doesn't want to pay the debt. I think he's kind of hoping for, Bernie to come in and forgive all the student loans.
Because he's a poor student.
You can't write off student loan debt, right? I mean, that's the one thing through bankruptcy you can't get rid of unless you show.
Correct. Unless you elected Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders,
yes, right,
where we do the exact same thing for the bankers. So you'd have all the OWS protesters who are protesting against the bankers clamoring to have the exact same treatment and then still see the hypocrisy of it.
Right.
Well, it's different because it's me.
Right. It is.
7 years.
Well, I mean, I look at it this way. Aaron, how much outstanding student loan debt is there now?
Oh God, 1.5 trillion. I just remember reading it. It broke 1.5 trillion. Yep.
So there's no way this is going to be paid back. I mean, how many zeros is that?
That's 9. No, billion is 9, trillion is 12. It can be paid back, and I kind of insist that it is. As much as I've tried to warn and told the sirens and prevent people from going off that cliff. Now that people went off that cliff while passing me, giving me the finger saying, fuck off, you racist, sexist piece of shit. And now I'm like, okay, millennials, you go run off that cliff right now. I want them to pay it back. And I'm so happy that the number one thing I was happy about Trump getting elected was that he wasn't Hillary. And the second most happiest thing is that there was no student loan debt forgiveness that's going to happen for at least the next 4 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But doesn't that affect I mean, if they decided to forgive all that debt, that would basically be like the Federal Reserve just printing money. So it would have an immediate inflationary effect, right? All these people that are, the cost of money for them went to zero.
Right, but
and all that money has already been spent and in the system, and they're not having to pay it back. So it would be inflationary, right?
It would be, but the problem is we did the exact same thing with the bailouts of the banks, except it wasn't 1.5 trillion, it's just basically under $1 trillion. And not to bore you with the concept of velocity, but if there's not a lot of confidence or faith or hope in the future of the economy, people don't spend their money as frequently or invest it. Corporations don't invest it. And so the rate at which the same dollar bill is spent or respent has gone dramatically down. And I think the millennials.
So in other words, I think the layman's way of saying this, it doesn't matter how much money is printed; it's how much people are spending. It's what's called the velocity of money.
Right. And what would end up happening is there might be a jubilee, which is quite the literal term. It's a Jewish term meaning jubilee, a debt forgiveness.
Yep. 7 years.
Yeah. There would be maybe a jubilee on the part of millennials where they might go and buy some more craft beers or some shitty plaid shirts or beard grooming equipment. But I think they are the fact that they don't have jobs, they still have to, they're still living paid. They're not even paying down their debts. So let's say you remove the student loans that they weren't paying back anywhere, their cash flow situation is still the same. They're underemployed. They can barely make it in the real world. So I don't see them spending a ton plus they also, I'll bless them for this, is they are somewhat minimalist. The millennials and Gen Zers are not like, I got to have my Z Cavarici jeans and my Nike high tops, or I need my grills. So I think the velocity of money would remain low. They're certainly not entrepreneurial. There certainly is no rah-rah Reagan 80s, let's go invest in the economy, get the velocity on the corporate investment side. So what I think would happen is you just have a big balance sheet swap in the Federal Reserve, very identical to what we did. The Federal Reserve, instead of holding gold and foreign currencies, would hold very bad mortgage-backed securities and asset-backed securities from the defunct mortgage market. But now, instead of mortgage-backed securities that are never going to be paid back, you're going to have student loans, which is bad, but even worse because there's no collateral. At least a house you can collect. Right. There's some collateral there, but with the
you can't write it off.
A women's studies degree has no value. No value. You cannot get anyone to buy it on the secondary market. Nobody wants that hairy vagina women's studies degree.
Now I'm imagining like the cops, no, not the cops, the repo men breaking into somebody's apartment and just like digging through her dildo collection and all of her like My Little Pony costumes and like getting the women's studies degree out from under the pile of used lingerie and just like her grabbing his leg and screaming as he heads out the door with her diploma.
Yeah, she probably has all of Lena Dunham's books and DVDs.
Here's a good idea. If they're gonna, because what you've been saying, Aaron, is that inflation really isn't going to be affected if we forgive all this debt. I was hoping you were going to say, man, there's going to be some inflation, so I can be against it. I can say, fuck you, no way. You got to pay back your debts. But what if, back to the dollar bill on the wall thing, right, where you go and collect and you take that dollar bill from the person that's gone bankrupt. What if to forgive the student loan debt, you take away their degree? That would be awesome, wouldn't it? I mean, if they're worthless degrees anyway, you take it away from them. You're no longer a BA or whatever.
And it would women's studies. It would be so devastating to them because you, me, and John and Ann and everybody else listening pretty much knows, well, those degrees have no value. But if you are your average normie conformie inferior, you have nothing else in life.
Right. Yeah.
And I hate to keep ragging on the women, but this is especially pronounced in women who have their master's degree in kitten petting studies or whatever the hell is
Native American language,
right? Poetry, sculpture,
interpretive feminist dance,
right. Hymen studies, whatever. I don't know what's out there now. That's all they have is their degree. So if you were to renege or decertify them and you take away their degree, even though it'd probably be the best thing for them, they are such worthless, valueless, coreless people that I think they'd be committing suicide. I mean, that's all they have to point to shield their egos. All they have in life is this degree that they earn. I graduated with honors with summa cum laude with my degree in sociology. And if you took that away, they'd be forced to actually look at their lives and say, what are you without this piece of paper?
So I'd be for it then. Forgive the loans in exchange for you take their diploma away. They're no longer, I mean, if they didn't pay for it, they don't get it. I think I'd be for it then. If you're saying that inflation won't go up, right, and it's not going to affect me personally, the value of my dollars in my wallet, that I've
assuming we remain the world's reserve currency, yes.
Yeah. And so if we forgive all these losers, basically, that chose worthless degrees, in exchange for forgiving that debt, take their diploma away. That'd be freaking awesome. I'd sign up for that job. That'd be great.
The diploma repo.
It's not just the women's studies degrees that are actually kind of useless. Like even degrees that are kind of hard to get. Like I have a degree in classics and I have a degree in French. Most of the jobs that I've gotten are because of my work experience, but I got those degrees as incidental to the shit that I wanted to go learn and the fact that I wanted to like spend a year abroad without spending a shit ton of money. So if I got that deal, I'd be like, oh, sure, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but you're aware and you're sane and you have other value beyond that piece of paper up on your wall. Oh God, I would go apply for that job. I'd enter the workforce again to be the degree repo man. Right.
I think I have unique skills in this area. I'd probably be pretty good at this.
What you got to outrun a 300-pound sow so she doesn't catch up with you? You got to help out a rascal and say rape? What do
you guys, this is easy money. We need to start a company. Last week we were going to start a law school, right?
Sturzinger Law, yeah.
This week we're going to start a repo company for worthless degrees.
Yeah.
Let's get a van, get uniforms. We could be like the Ghostbusters.
That's great.
We get cool uniforms.
Yeah. Like we could even get like Ghostbusters style, like a little gadget that we could vacuum the degree into. Like it's.
Shred it right there in front of their face, yeah.
We'll have the Beckloff as our mascot.
What would you do? Drink Pepsi and yell at the internet? I'm trying to picture the Beckloff mascot.
I just know that Ghostbusters is his favorite movie of all time, so.
It would be the millennial Sophie's Choice, right?
Just to change the channel, something. I had a unique experience today. For the first time in my life, I went to what do you call it, a game store? where they sell video games.
Yeah, like GameStop or something.
Yeah, it was Game Gurus, I think it was called. But it was like secondhand, like where you go to sell games. And the reason I went there, I don't know if I told this to you guys or you saw it on my Facebook, but my car was stolen 2 months ago, and the people who stole my car used it to commit, tons of other break-ins and stuff like that. So when the police actually stopped the guys in my car when it was recovered, it was filled with stolen property, and to the brim. But one of the things, as well as like tons of drug needles, and one of the things that the cops left in the car though was a bunch of games like Xbox and PlayStation type stuff, and I told the cops, they left, and the cops said, "I just fucking keep it," So I went to the game place to sell them, and I was just thinking, God, Beckloff would love this fucking place.
Why is it big?
Well, yeah. Well, it has all these like old games. Like you can get like stuff that we would remember, Aaron. Like like Atari 2600 and shit like that.
Old school.
Yeah, it has all these refurbished like old games and just all that old stuff. It's for like real really geeky people and people will pay top dollar for that stuff because it's they haven't made them in years. There's not that many of them out there.
Well, I know it's gotten so bad or good, however you want to put it. The tube TVs, not flat screens, tube TVs are in demand because if you want to play Atari 2600 or Coleco or any of the old stuff, you can't. There's no USB port. There's no HDMI port. You need an old school TV to play a lot of these Atari games.
Think of that.
Yeah. So now those are. Huh.
So
what?
Somebody. Well, there you go. Business idea. Make a converter so you can put it on your TV.
Yeah, I like degree repo man. Worthless degree repo man.
That's more fun. We get to have like a cool car and
a siren.
And we have an old firehouse and with a pole.
And they hear it coming.
Sliding down that pole in her uniform.
They hear the siren coming in the distance. They'll have
All right, we got a basket weaving degree in Boys Town. Everybody get in the car.
All right, calm down. And then, we can film the people trying to run to catch up to us.
We could do a whole show, yeah. I mean, like cops.
And you know what? We'd be like ICE. Instead of getting one or two, we'd get like 100 in one shot. So we'd like raid university women's studies departments. You're all coming with us.
They're all hiding in the coffee shop. Yeah.
Yeah, the coffee shops. That's what we would do. Yeah, that would be great. We could do a great mockumentary about this. That's a good idea right there. That would be funny.
I'm back to that though. I guess I'm for it if they give up their degrees. That would be.
I'm not. I mean, as great as that would be, I mean, ideally, what I'd like to do is say we're going to take back your degree unless you pay down half your debts within 10 years. That's what old Aaron would do. But if the Republicans had this option, like, okay, we'll forgive student loan and but there's going to be massive. We're no longer doing any federal funding or it ends. We're bailing it out, and we're not doing it ever again. Yeah. The colleges are replaced with accreditations and certifications that are self-study. And by the way, we get to rescind and confiscate everybody's degree that has outstanding student loan debt.
Yeah, if they get forgiven. Yeah.
Then that would, I'd almost say that'd be worth it. But yeah, I mean, right now, while we got the world's reserve currency and China keeps being corrupt and so does Russia, there's no one else that's going to stop us in the currency game anyway. So
the iron is hot. Yeah.
Well, I want them. The smugness and the holier than thou and the smarter than thou attitude these young punk kids had,
right?
Who thought they knew better. I don't want them to get off the hook. I just want them to suffer. Like, what was the movie? Mission Impossible 3 was Philip Seymour Hoffman was the bad guy. You guys know who Philip Seymour Hoffman was?
Yes. Yeah, he just died a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, and he's one of the best actors. Unfortunately,
he's really good. Yeah,
it was really good, and he played just such a bad guy. And one of the more chilling lines he has is, and he's not angry or yelling. He's just telling her, "I'm going to find her, and I'm going to hurt her. I'm just going to hurt her a lot." And he's like, "Wow, this guy's deadly serious." And that's the same thing. I want them to suffer. I want them to worry about their debts. I want their lives ruined because of it, because they ruined my country. They decided they knew. And it's one thing if you're a young, naive kid and you're going to vote leftist, Obama, Bernie, Hillary, whatever. But when you dare lecture me like that Dave Hogfuck,
right?
That smug little piece of shit,
the
that's
punchable face guy,
the most punchable face in the world. But it's those people where it's like, yeah, you know what? No, I want you crippled. I want you financially crippled until you're 50. All you women's studies majors that ruined women for me and DT and John and the guys for Ann, all you feminists out there who ruin the sexes for each other, I want you to be 60. And also, you guys remember the article I did a segment on the Clary podcast about the adjunct professors down in San Jose that were resorting to prostitution and having to live in their cars and everything?
Oh, yeah.
I want that. I want that so much for these people to have.